Hey everyone, Misha here, and today we are reviewing the White Numen Tarot, a sacred animal tarot. And I am so excited to share this one with you because I had seen some of the artwork on this one, and I will fully confess I tend to buy tarot decks based on the art and theme. And this is one that has spoken to me for a really long time. And even just the cover of the box, I think is just absolutely stunning. The art in this one has a very almost anime feel to me, a comic feel, and it is just spectacularly beautiful. And we actually see that artwork all throughout the box, and I mean, oh, so gorgeous. Now this deck is done by a Spanish artist named Alba BG, and it's kind of a more indie deck, even though it is available mass produced through some different sellers. So it is a lovely one to check out. So this is the box. So it has that nice little magnetic flap, and it has almost like a little drawer that pulls out here. And then your deck is inside with the little guidebook. So it comes out quite easily. It just slides right out. And ooh, I love it. There's a card stuck in the box. I'm sure it's the Fool. Yeah, so there's the Fool. So that's the art on the card, the art on the card art that's on the box. So one of the things that's really nice about this is the cardstock's nice and thick. It's glossy and it's really easy to manipulate in my hand. So I like that. That's something that I really enjoy. I also like it when I can see the art really, really clearly. And I love the colors in this deck. They're bold, but they're not kind of punch you in the face. They're quite lovely, and you can see the detail is really exquisite as well. So let's check out some of the cards in the deck. One of the things that's important to know about this deck that might influence whether or not you like it is the back is non-reversible. So you've got the Numen, which are the animal spirits. There's a canine one and then some birds, and you can also see the cup and the wand and the pinnacle and the sword, so you'll know which way is up. And that's actually kind of nice if you like doing readings where you don't use reversals. This is really great because you'll be able to tell very easily whether or not you are holding the deck right side up or upside down. And so the majors, we'll go through a couple of them. Here's the Magician. We've got the High Priestess. If y'all have seen my reviews before, you know that I tend to buy my decks based on how much I love the High Priestess and the Tower in particular. I love this priestess. She just looks like she is sitting there ready to absolutely connect with the divine. I love her kind of almost just like relaxed, wanton, just beautiful magic of divine feminine here. So gorgeous, so yummy. And I also like the fact that it feels like everything is just flowing from her, just with the ease of intuition. So pretty. We've got the Empress right here. If you notice with a lot of these cards, they have a color scheme to them. So this one has a lot of warmth, whereas our High Priestess, in the association with water especially, is a lot cooler. And that is one of my favorite things about this deck, is they do tend to have these bold colors, and that becomes really important later on in the minors. I'll show you in a little bit. We'll lay out one whole set of minors, because for each of the different minor suits, the entire set of minors are all in that same color scheme, which I think is quite lovely. And one thing you might be noticing is the name of this is a Sacred Animal Tarot, and if you look at this card, there's not a lot of animals really apparent, and that is something to kind of keep in mind. And actually, I think it's really awesome because this is not in-your-face animals. Like, you can look at the card and tell what the animal is. This is the expression of animal as a spirit. Primal force, the animals that we as humans have worked with and connected to since our earliest of times. And so sometimes those animals are going to be very apparent. Like here in the Hierophant, we have some kind of canine looking ones. It's beautiful. Oh, gosh, again, look at the detail on that. Here in the Lovers, we have the Snake Numen spirits, which is a really great, I think, a really great expression for that one. Here in the Chariot, we have a creature that we're not even really sure what that might be, as well as some birds. And this actually goes really well with the artist's statement on the deck, because the artist was mentioning that they were inspired by dreams as well. And if you pay attention to your dreams and you look at the way animals often show up in our dreams, it's not always super cut and dry. So I think it's really beautiful that many of these cards have these kind of more fantasy, kind of open for interpretation. And even in the cards where there's not, okay, so this is my favorite. I love this card with the tiger. Oh, so good. I really enjoy when decks reinterpret kind of the traditional. What I was going to say was, even in the cards where there's not necessarily an animal that you can point to and say, oh, that's a tiger, you can still feel that spiritual primal energy, which is quite lovely. And as you can see from this card, if those of you that are familiar with the typical strength card in most tarot decks, it's usually a female and a lion. That's the presentation that was in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So this is a reimagination of that. And much of this deck is based in that RWS format. So you'll find many of the imagery is pretty darn close to that. Wheel of Fortune. So here, this is a good one. I don't really see jumping off like into my sight right off the bat. I don't see any animals. So this is a good one where you might look at that and say, well, but how is that a sacred animal tarot? However, if you start to look closely, I'm noticing there's something that's kind of winding up this person's arm that looks a bit like a snake. And so I think this is a really beautiful example of, this is not a deck. Like, don't get this deck expecting to see animal on every card. This is more about our connection to animals and to animal spirits and how their energy shows up in our lives, and how it has through the ages, which I think is really fantastic. Let's check out, there's Justice, we've got the Hanged Man, Death. Oh, the Death card is glorious. Death comes on a white horse, the Pale Rider, Temperance, the Devil, the Tower. Oof, that one is brutal. The Star, lovely. So these cards are absolutely beautiful. I love the Moon. The Moon feels so playful to me in this card. The Sun, Judgment. Oh, the World. What a gorgeous world. That just, to me, that just sums up that absolute beauty and, the bounty and the richness and the fullness that comes when we look at the World card popping up. And again, I don't see a direct animal in here, but I see the horns on this figure's head, and the sun, the rising sun or setting sun or moon, depending upon how you want to interpret that, behind them, and it reminds me of Goddess Hathor. So that's a really beautiful hearkening to how we as humans have been connected to animals, so much so that we even represented them in our divine beings as well. So obviously the Art of the Major is super, super awesome. Let's look at a couple of the minors. Here we've got the Ace of Wands, the Four of Wands, the Seven of Wands, and if you notice right here, I'll take all these and kind of hold them out. We're looking in that color pattern, that color palette rather, and the pattern of fire. So we've got the wands with that fire energy. Everything in this suit is pretty much in that red-orange color family. And there's your Numen animal for wands. We have the snakes. And so if you look closely, you start to see them popping up, maybe not in every card, but pretty darn close. And I think that's a really, really neat representation there. When we get into cups, of course, we have more of some of that blue, watery color. Oh, absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And of course, cups, we have fish, a fish Numen. Ooh, that Queen of Cups, gorgeous. So powerful. And then with swords, we have more of almost like a hazy. I really like the airy quality of this. We still have some blue and some gray in there, but it reminds me of if you've ever seen fog or haze or low-lying clouds, the color set of these really harkens to that. And of course with the swords, we have birds as our Numen. And then when we get into our Queen, I also like the fact that a lot of our knights in this deck have more of a feminine representation, which I think is really great. And then with our aces, we have Earth. Excuse me, not our aces. Our pentacles, we have Earth. We have the greens, the green of the earth. Absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. And our Numen for these are more domesticated animals. We've got a cow, we've got a dog, there's some cats roaming in, and it's kind of a mix of everything, but there's some more canines as well. What's really neat about this deck as well is there are 2 bonus cards. So we have the White Numen and the Black Numen. And white has that energy of creation, and the black has that energy of the passing. And so kind of nice to have 2 unique cards in this deck as well to really give you an opportunity to enjoy a deck that has an ethereal quality and one that ties in the human to the spirit world through the guise of animals. So I think if you are interested in a deck that has some really beautiful imagery that really does connect to and honor the original RWS deck, this is a great deck for that, but it's also interpreting it in some new and unique ways. And there's some really, really beautiful reimaginations of many of the classic imagery. You'll also really like this deck if you are interested in a deck that has people. Sometimes people don't like to read decks that are just animals or just plants. So this is a really great one for you if you are really wanting a deck that will give you an opportunity to work a little bit closer with animal spirits, but perhaps not in a way where it's really solid, but leave it open more to interpretation and more to see less like, okay, that tiger means this, and more, what is the energy of that spirit bringing, regardless of what type of animal it is. So absolutely beautiful deck. I am super excited to work with this one, and I'm going to be putting this one into my regular deck rotation for reading for certain. And I hope you all enjoyed this quick little review, and I'll see you next time.